Time is your most precious asset. It is the only thing that you can never get back. And the thing that I always say to young people is I ask them this one question. Would you trade lives with Warren Buffett? He is worth $130 billion. He has access to absolutely anyone in the world. He flies around on private jets. He has mansions all over the place. He reads and learns for a living. But you would not trade lives with him simply because he is 95 years old. And there's no way you would agree to trade the amount of time he has left for all the money in the world. You just wouldn't do it. And similarly, he would trade places with you in a heartbeat. He would give up everything that he has to be young again. So you know in the back of your mind, through that math, that your time has quite literally incalculable value. And then on a daily basis, you spend time scrolling on this thing, looking around, comparing yourself to others, taking on stupid things that you don't want to do, things that aren't moving the needle in your life. So you need to have this mindset shift to recognize that time is literally the only thing that you have. And leveraging it effectively, deploying it into things that actually create energy in your life, recognizing that you only get one shot at this, that is the real wealth.
Okay, welcome to Open Book. I am your host, Anthony Scaramucci, and joining me is Sahil Bloom. He is an entrepreneur. He's a writer. He's a content creator, but very soon he's going to be a New York Times best-selling author. He's written an incredible book. The title of the book is The 5 Types of Wealth, a transformative guide to design your dream life. And by the way, I follow you on Twitter, follow you on Instagram, and you went deep here. You give great color on these different social media platforms, but the content in this book is fantastic. And what I love about this book, if you don't mind, because I spent the weekend reading it, is you can pick it up. You don't have to start on chapter 1. I could go to the middle of the book and start reading, and I've got content that's connected to me. And so that's a tough thing to do, Sahil. So congratulations on that. And tell me first a little bit about yourself and why you wrote this book, and then we'll go into why I like it so much. Hey, everyone. It's Anthony Scaramucci here with some straight talk. Let me tell you, we've got 85% of our viewers who haven't hit the subscribe button yet. What's up with that? It hurts. Listen, I made my career by going all in. Right now, only 15% of our viewers are part of our subscribed family. So please take action. This helps us book more amazing guests. Hit subscribe, join our community, and let's turn these numbers upside down. Now back to the show.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the warm words. And I definitely tried to structure the book for exactly that. So I'm glad you picked up on it. The story of writing this book, the book is not about me, but it very much is a manifestation of my journey. Which is one that I think a lot of people will find themselves in, where you've kind of been handed this default path to success your entire life. And you march down these default paths, you accept these default definitions and these default settings, as David Foster Wallace called them. And you never really take time to question whether those are the things that you actually want to do, whether those are the things that you actually find meaning in, or the things you would actually define as success. And, I found myself on that path, and I was chasing money at the kind of default scoreboard that we all measure ourselves against. And unfortunately, while I was winning that one game, I started to see that a lot of the other areas of my life were suffering. And that was everything from my relationships, with my parents, who I was never seeing, with my sister. Our relationship was strained. My wife and I were struggling to conceive at the time. I was drinking 6-7 nights a week. My mental and physical health were all over the place. So I had these other areas of my life really suffering, while on the outside looking in, you would have said I was winning the game. I had all the markers of success. And so I just started to have this sensation that if that was what winning the game felt like, I had to be playing the wrong game. And I went on this journey to try to figure out what was the right game and what was the way to measure on that broader, better scoreboard for building a healthy, happy, fulfilling life, that war that we are all trying to win in the long run. And that's really what this book is all about. It's about identifying the things that truly matter to you, not what society tells you should matter, not what your parents tell you, not what your friends tell you, and then going and taking action to go and build around those things.
So let's start there. Let's talk about our society for a second, because I think you've made some insightful points about the society. And, you join a long line of leaders who try to help people with their lives. the father of the self-help movement for the United States, at least perhaps of the world, is Ben Franklin. He wrote a great book, his autobiography. He also Poor Richard's Almanac. And there was a lot of messaging there. Went on to be Dale Carnegie, Napoleon Hill. There's been a ton of people that have written differently about living a fulfilling life. But what I found interesting about yours is you broke it up into 5 different buckets. And I'll just tell the listeners what they are. It's time, social wealth, mental health/wealth, physical health/wealth, and obviously financial. So I want to start with where you think our society is, because it feels like our society is about financial wealth. It feels like our society is about the totems of financial wealth. So if you're bling, 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 Sahil, then you've made it. But we both know a lot of people that are bling, bling, that are not happy campers. So tell us about your odyssey from looking at the society. There's an arbitrage between the way the society sees itself, frankly, and the way you write about what is good mental and good financial and physical health. So tell us about that odyssey. Tell us how you got there.
Yeah, I think Peter Drucker, the management theorist, said this best, which is what gets measured gets managed. And that quote really resonates with me because it's a reminder that the thing that you can measure ends up being the thing that you focus on, that you narrow in on, that you sort of myopically optimize around. And in society, that thing that we can measure is money. I mean, money's measurability is a feature, right? It's what allows us to use it and to actually create this culture of capitalism that we all know and respect. But unfortunately, because it is so measurable, it also becomes the thing that we focus on entirely. And the problem is that money isn't nothing. It simply can't be the only thing. And when it becomes the only focus of your life, when it becomes the thing that you measure yourself around, when it becomes the way that you stack yourself up against others, the way that you compare yourself to others, it starts to be unhealthy because it is very much a pathway to the Pyrrhic victory, to winning the battle but losing the war. And all of these other areas of our life, we know in the back of our mind they are important. You know that freedom is more important. You know that your relationships, that your mental and physical health, you know these things. And yet on a daily basis, your actions are going to surround the thing that you can measure. And so when I went on this journey myself and tried to figure this out, I knew that measurement really had to be at the forefront of this. You need a better scoreboard so that when you're making decisions, when you're taking actions, you can make those decisions and take those actions around the broader set of principles that are actually going to contribute to that truly comprehensively wealthy life that you're trying to live.
So when you got to the time wealth part of this book, it left a very big impact on me because you had an equation. I'm searching the book right now, but there was an equation in the book where it's like, okay, take your age. Okay, if you're 65, you're going to live to 80, you have 15. If you see people once a year, you're going to see loved ones 15 more times in your life. And when you write it that way, it becomes a little bit more dramatic. It becomes a little bit more compelling. And I guess, what would you say to somebody who's filling their time with meetings, filling their time with, we're going to make an extra $1 today. And again, I'm all for making money. I've dedicated a good part of my life, Sahil, to making money. But I also recognize that if I'm going to miss out on this big opportunity to be with my children or hang out with friends or loved ones or my wife, that there's wealth in that as well. So give me some coaching. Go ahead. What would you say to people?
There's a few things. So first off, making money and pursuing your ambition, there is nothing wrong with that. And this book will never tell you that there's something wrong with that. What it will say is that that has to be grounded in something more meaningful than just the pursuit of money. So as you talk about, like, you have made money, you've worked on that in your life, I would argue that pursuit of money has actually been a pursuit of your purpose. You have been grounded in the desire to build something meaningful. You've built a big company. You've built, and hired people, created jobs, built this enterprise. That has resulted in you receiving value in return in the form of money. But it wasn't that you were chasing money every single day. You were chasing purpose and grounding yourself in that. And there's nothing wrong with that. What I would say to the person from a time perspective is very simple. Time is your most precious asset. It is the only thing that you can never get back. And the thing that I always say to young people is I ask them this one question: would you trade lives with Warren Buffett? He is worth $130 billion, last I checked. He has access to absolutely anyone in the world. He flies around on private jets. He has mansions all over the place. He reads and learns for a living. But you would not trade lives with him simply because he is 95 years old. And there's no way you would agree to trade the amount of time he has left for all the money in the world. You just wouldn't do it. And similarly, he would trade places with you in a heartbeat. He would give up everything that he has to be young again. So you know in the back of your mind, through that math, that your time has quite literally incalculable value. And then on a daily basis, you spend time scrolling on this thing, looking around, comparing yourself to others, taking on stupid things that you don't want to do, things that aren't moving the needle in your life. So you need to have this mindset shift to recognize that time is literally the only thing that you have. And leveraging it effectively, deploying it into things that actually create energy in your life, recognizing that you only get one shot at this, that is the real wealth.
Okay, let's go to some other stuff in the book. You talk about mental wealth. You talk about the anxieties that people have in their lives and the tribulations that they have in their lives. How do you recommend that people manage that, right? So, Socrates once said maybe the best among us are the ones that didn't live, right? Meaning you have to go through the trials and tribulations of life and the ups and downs, Sawhill. How do you manage all that?
I think that the most important point around mental wealth is this idea of space. And I talk about it in the context of creating space in your life. Viktor Frankl, famous psychologist and Holocaust survivor, has this quote that our power exists in the space that we can create between stimulus and response. So if you think about your life, you have this constant stimulus drip coming in, and then you're being told that you have to respond to everything right away. We live in this urgency culture. Every single thing is urgent. So you don't get time to create space because everything is stimulus, response, stimulus, response. Your power exists in your ability to create a little bit of space on a daily basis, and then a lot of space, hopefully on a more regular monthly or quarterly basis, to zoom out, to slow things down, and to see the bigger picture in your life, to actually be able to, pick and choose your moves on the chessboard, if you will. If you think of some of the greatest success stories in history, even in different fields, Lionel Messi, famous soccer player, one of the best that's ever lived, he is known for walking around the field. He gets called lazy. People yell at him. They lament the fact that he seems lazy on the field. The reality is it's strategy. He is creating space. He's slowing down so that he can see the bigger picture, so that he can create a map, and so that he has the energy to deploy into the one moment that matters, to really go forward and strike and score the goal. We all need to live a little bit more like that. We need to find deliberate ways to create that space in our life so that we can process the stimulus and come back with the better response on the back end.
Okay. But I'm talking about anxiety, Sahil. I'm talking about you got your shit together. I arguably on certain days have my shit together, but a lot of people don't. And you write about how they can get it together. Mm-hmm. So go.
I am a believer that stress and anxiety feed on idleness. They grow and proliferate when you are not taking action in your life, when you are concerning yourself with other people, when you are scrolling on social media. Your most unhappy moments will happen during those truly idle periods, not the periods where you're meditating. That's not idleness. That's actually processing. That's growth. But those periods when you are truly idle. And when you take action, when you create movement in your life, you are literally starving them of the oxygen that they breathe. So when in doubt, what I always say is when in doubt, take action, do something. Because at the end of the day, we live in this information gathering society. We live in this world where people are getting all of their dopamine from information gathering. And dopamine from information gathering is a dangerous drug. That's, you read the book and you get the information and you feel all good about yourself, but you haven't done anything with that information. We need to get our dopamine from action, from actually going and doing something on the back end of it.
What's an anti-goal, Sahil?
The idea of anti-goals is A very interesting one. Goals, we all know about. It's the summit of the mountain, the thing that we're trying to climb towards, the focus. Anti-goals are the things that we are not willing to sacrifice in our pursuit of those goals. So basically, they're the things we don't want to happen. So as an example, let's say my goal is to become CEO of my company. My anti-goal might be being away from my family 300 nights out of the year. Sacrificing my health due to the stress and all of the travel required to get to that job. I want to achieve the goal of becoming CEO, but not if it means having those anti-goals become real. The reason this is so important is, to paraphrase Charlie Munger, all I want to know is where I'm going to die, so I'll never go there.
Mm-hmm.
These are the places where you are going to die. And you need to understand and have them clarified in your mind so that you can avoid them as you continue to march forward towards your goals.
Okay. I consider myself somebody that has some pretty good social wealth. So define for me what social wealth is. Whether you think I'm right or wrong, and then define for me what social wealth is.
I think you're right, but I don't think it's something where we can necessarily judge others. But social wealth is all about your relationships. It's about your depth of relationships with the few close people. Your true, what I think of as like darkest hour friends, the people that you can call at 3 a.m. when the chips are down, when your company goes bankrupt, when you get arrested, when you're stuck, when you're in a rut. Those are your true deep relationships. Then there is the broader circle of breadth of the relationships that extend beyond that core, the communities, the spiritual networks, the things that you are connected to that kind of extend beyond the self, those higher order communities. And the combination of those two is kind of what creates your social wealth. And at the end of the day, social wealth is what provides the texture to be able to enjoy any of the other types of wealth. When you think about having any level of financial wealth, no one dreams about being on a yacht by themselves. Right? Like you want people to enjoy these things with. You don't dream of being able to go on these amazing hikes or trips or experiences by yourself. You want to have others by your side and with them. So social wealth is the one that I would say most people fail to invest in. And the mindset shift here that's so important is we know that investing in our financial wealth is a smart decision, that putting away $100 today is going to compound into our future. The exact same principle applies to social wealth. Investing in your relationships today is arguably the best investment you can make because it will pay dividends for a long, long time into the future in the exact same way that a financial investment will.
Let's talk about falling in love while I've got you here. And by the way, I could talk to you for hours about this book, but I know you don't have unlimited time because I got to keep your time wealth at a high level, Sahil.
I like it.
But let's talk about falling in love.
Yeah,
The younger generation, you're in the younger generation, I'm in the older generation. Is it harder for younger people to fall in love these days, or do I have that wrong? It's just a non-scientific assessment that I'm making.
I think that social media has done a number on our brains. And young people are the primary victim of that because they grew up with social media. And social media has convinced you that falling in love is what matters. And what I always say is that falling in love is easy. Growing in love is very, very hard. And falling in love is what you see on social media. It's the Instagram filtered images. It's the perfect vacation moments. It's the fancy date nights out. Growing in love is much deeper. That is about shared struggle. It's about sitting in the mud with people. It's about the hard conversations. It's about all of those things that contribute to actually building a deep connection with someone. Shared struggle, we know, releases oxytocin in our bodies. It's the chemical that creates feelings of love and connection. Yeah. So if you live in this world of social media where you just hit the eject button as soon as things get hard, because you have this range of options right at your fingertips, you will never actually get to that growing in love phase that builds the deep relationship, that actually builds that connection that you're looking for.
So you think social media like smoking for the last generation? Is it like does social media give your brain lung cancer? Okay, that's a mixed metaphor, but I think you're following me.
I think that social media is worse than smoking. Because smoking got your lungs, social media gets your brain. And I am very worried. I mean, when I think about my son growing up in the age that he will, with social media, with AI, not being able to know what is truth or a complete fake, I have deep, grave concerns for what the future of some of these technologies look like. And look, this is coming from someone who does a lot of work on social media, and I think I think the distinction that you need to make in your own mind is whether you are using these technologies for growth, for learning, for education, or whether you are using them for cheap, quick dopamine hits of entertainment. And there's a limit to how much of those cheap, quick fix dopamine hits of entertainment that you can have before your brain starts to fundamentally experience some level of rot. And
Right.
we've all experienced this in some way, right? Like I can see my attention span getting worse from how much I use social media.
Right.
And it pains me, but it's just the reality that we live in.
Yeah. I mean, and it also you want to take a longer term perspective, and if you get off social media, you have more conversations like this. You're just gonna have a richer life. You write in the book that you should imagine what your 80th birthday party is like. But I'm just going to tell you right now, Soil, I'm having a killer 69th birthday party. I'll let you, in your mind, understand why 69 is my favorite number. We'll just leave it there. But I'm not waiting
Nice.
till 80. I'm not waiting to 80 to have this party.
Well,
But
I
tell us,
expect an invite to 69 then. That's
yeah,
good.
because it's a few moments away from now. Okay, you're going to blink and it's going to be here. But why? Why imagine yourself at age 80 at your birthday party?
This exercise of imagining that future self is really the best way that I can think of for clarifying your actions in the present. So, thinking about yourself and what you're going to feel like and be like physically at your 80th birthday party is a good way to assess whether you are taking the right actions in the present to create a future that you actually want. And the question is, are you going to be dancing at your 80th birthday party? All your friends and family are there and they want you to come out to the dance floor. Are you going to be capable of getting out on the dance floor and busting out a move and dancing to your favorite songs with your favorite people at that party? Or are you going to be debilitated? Are you going to be in a position where you cannot? And fundamentally, the seeds of that future outcome are being sown right now through your daily habits, through the things that you are doing. I went to my 10-year college reunion recently, and looking around, I had this powerful realization that some of the people looked 50 and some of the people looked 30. And the reality is your daily habits show up on your face after 10 years. So now imagine after 50 years what the impact is going to be on your face, on your entire body. You control those things on a daily basis. You are controlling that future, and your future self is the direct heir of all of the decisions and the habits that you have in the present.
So Charlie Munger is a Capricorn. Benjamin Franklin is a Capricorn. Sahil Bloom is a Capricorn. Am I right? When
I
is
am a
your birthday?
Capricorn. Yeah,
Okay.
January 5th.
Okay. And my birthday's on January 6th, which used to be Trump Insurrection Day, but it's now Trump Freedom Day, this schedule. Okay. So do you believe in the horoscopes? You think that there's something to the
My wife definitely does. So by default, I go along with it.
So when is your wife's birthday?
My wife is April 5th.
Actually, she's an Aries. Okay,
Yeah.
Capricorn Aries relationship. So I just asking, just throwing it out there. Okay, give me the single greatest investment in the world. You write about it in your book, Sahil. What is it?
My dad, when I graduated college, gave me a single piece of advice, which was never think twice about investments in yourself. And he talked about those as quality food, fitness, personal development, sleep, mental health. All of these things are investments that you can make in yourself that pay dividends over a long period of time. And that guidance, I think, has been the single best piece of advice that I've received going into my life and into my career. And it is what I consider to be the best investment that you can possibly make.
Okay, so your point being more education, more books, better healthcare, better training, meaning physical training.
Yeah,
All of
lean
the
into yourself. I mean, you are the only investment that you make that has an infinite hold period.
Mhm.
Everything else is temporary. So lean into yourself. Go all in on you, and you won't regret it.
So what is something that you regret?
Oh, I have a lot of regrets, unfortunately. Although I don't really believe in regret in a technical sense if you are happy with where you are. Because all of those things contributed to the type of person that you are today and the path you are on. I do have real regrets about the fact that I allowed my relationship with my parents and with my sister to atrophy over those years while I was chasing money. Um, that I didn't call, that I didn't spend time, that I didn't open up about the things that I was facing, because those are years that I'm never going to get back.
Hmm.
And as much as it's been remedied now and that we are so close and we all spend so much time together, I really do have regrets around that.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I think we all have some regrets, but I do agree with you. Self pity, playing the victim, and having regrets are wasteful. It's just not necessary. Bad energy comes out of all those things. So, all right, we're now at the point in the podcast where we've taken 5 words from your book. And so I'm going to say the word, and then I need a 1 or 2 sentence reaction from you. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, so I say the word time. You think of what?
Flying by faster than you can ever imagine.
Okay, but it's a relative word, though, right? Time is relative.
It is
Right?
relative. There is a recognition in all of that.
Einstein said it was an illusion, Sawyer.
Yeah. There is a recognition that you are in much more control than you think and that you can take action to actually create time with the people that you care about most.
Okay, so when I read your book, I hear the word time. I think take control. Take control of your time. Learn to say no to things that aren't important to you. Learn to say yes to things that are. Okay, I'm going to say the word social. You say what?
Loving relationships with the people that truly matter in your life, leaning into those energy creating relationships on a daily basis and investing in them as your most precious investment.
See, when I read your book and I see the word social, love and care about the people close to you and care about what they think about you, but don't care about what other people think about you is none of your business, right? Ultimately, if you can create that defense barrier, you'll be a lot healthier, which is a good segue into the word mental.
Find your path and ignore those that have been handed to you by others. Pay the price on a daily basis for your distinctiveness as a human being.
Okay. What about physical?
Take the daily actions to invest in your body and fight against the natural decay and atrophy that aging is going to put upon you.
How old are you now?
I'm 34.
Okay, so I got you by 27 years, pal. All right, my boobs are starting to sag. So
You're doing good. You're doing good for
my
yourself.
boobs are starting to sag. Okay, let's talk about financial.
Find your version of enough. I think that expectations are the single greatest financial liability. And understanding your version of enough is the single most important thing that you can do.
Do you think, like I do, that I don't know. I worked at I was a private banker and I was a financial advisor. I called it a miserable millionaires club. I couldn't believe how rich. I mean, I grew up with no money, so just the fact that whatever I have, I'm delighted by. But I feel like expectations really hamper mental health. If you have zero expectations, you're delighted with life. If you've got all these expectations, I went into the hedge fund industry. I went from miserable millionaires to miserable billionaires. What is that all about, Soil?
Stress is fundamentally experienced when there is a gap between your present reality and your expectations. And in particular, when you don't have a real plan to close that gap. And so, in that light, you can think of expectations as the real governor on your ability to experience happiness. Because if your expectations continue to inflate, if you continue to compare yourself to others and people that have extraordinary things and amounts, you will never feel happy with what you have. You'll constantly be chasing someone else's more that may or may not actually matter to you.
So it's so well said. Okay, so the last one, this is the bonus word, wealth and the concept of wealth. What does it mean to you?
I feel wealthiest when I am able to take my son in the pool at 1 p.m. on a Tuesday. That is my definition of a wealthy life. Being able to do that, having the time and the freedom to do it, being healthy of mind and body to do that, having enough money so that I'm able to have a pool and do that, and having the loving connection with my son to be able to have him want to do that with me. That is my definition of wealth.
All right. Well, good for you. You're living a balanced life. God bless you. It's a phenomenal book. I enjoyed reading it thoroughly. The 5 types of wealth, and you've got them on the top: time, social, mental, physical, financial. A transformative guide to design your dream life by Sahil Bloom. And are you proud of me that I pronounced your name right?
I am really proud of you. I am I'm super impressed. I was going to send you a text after this.
I remember shit. Okay, you're Sahil Bloom. Okay, and you're a famous guy, but you're about to become very, very famous. This is a incredible book. God bless you for writing it. Are we writing another book? What are we doing?
We'll see. I'm excited to see this movement build with this one. So we'll see. Now, I never plan too far in the future. I just try to enjoy it.
Okay. Well, God bless you, man. You wrote a great book, and
thank you.
Best of luck to you and your family. Thank you for joining us on Open Book.
Thank you so much.
Hi.
Ma?
Hello?
All right.
I love you so much, baby. You make everyone tick.
All right. You had a good time at your birthday party?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
It was beautiful, and thanks, Deirdre, for finding the pocketbook that I wanted.
Okay, and you're going to walk around on those high heels still at 88? And
yeah, why not?
All right. Okay. All right.
So you want to my neck, I break my neck.
You want to come on the podcast or no?
Yeah, of course.
Of course you do, right? You have your fan base. You have to take care of your fan base, right, Ma?
Right? What?
You have to take care of your fan base, right? Like you were talking about last night, right? People know you're on the podcast, right?
Yep, they do.
All right. Okay. So, Ma, I had a guy on who wrote a book about the 5 types of wealth. His name was Sahil Bloom. So, Ma, do you think wealth is just about money, or you think there's other things that make somebody wealthy?
Make other things.
Like what?
If you have a lot of money and you only think about money, 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 it almost destroys your mind. You have to share it to the right people that would appreciate it, especially family members. I had a mother who used to give her money away to her immigrant Italians, and you take after her. What can I say?
Okay, but
you don't just think about wealth.
Okay, but why is money? But money is also important, though, right? People have to be financially.
Money talks and shit walks. But I'll tell you something on the podcast. My dad owned a lot of businesses in Fort Washington, and I had everything as a kid. When he got older, at 65, he got Parkinson's. By the time he was 87, he was pretty bad. And you know what he said to me? And he always thought about money, 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 money. You know, he wasn't the giver that my mother was. But he said, wealth is health. Don't ever forget it, because I have this, and all the money I have made, I could never buy my health. And I believe that, though.
All right, so what are other things that make somebody wealthy, Mom? Not money, but
a good mind. Very, very smart business sense and a very good mind.
Okay, but a good mind means also staying in balance, right? Not getting too depressed or too anxious, right? So how do you keep from getting anxious, Ma? What's the secret?
I have an outside interest besides this money, money, money. You have to exercise, and you have to see the world beautiful, and you have to look at people equal, and you have everything. They have money. You have the humanity of being good to people. You know, I think I know you go nuts, but you're my son, and I think you're perfect.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Mom. Most moms think their sons are perfect, Mom. It's good. Hey, thank you for watching this episode. If you enjoyed this episode, here's another one right up here that you might like.